Hi everyone, and welcome to the Digital First Security session at the CIO Summit. My name is Marty Moore. I'm the lead security architect for Logicalis, and today we're going to talk to Ray Thorpe. He's the CISO at eShopWorld. We're going to do a deep dive into the story at eShopWorld and how they are doing a digital first journey. So to kick this off, Ray can tell us a little bit more about himself.
Great. Thank you, Marty. Hello, everyone. So I'm Ray Thorpe. I'm the CISO at ESW, which is actually formerly known as eShopWorld. So we're obviously going through that. I've been with eShopWorld or ESW for the last 3.5 years. I've come from a strong technical and security background. I've been involved in technology and security for, I'd say, a good part of 22 years. So I've been around the block when it comes to security from that perspective. eShopWorld, was founded in 2010 by our current CEO, Tommy Kelly, and it's quite an Irish success story, having reached unicorn status over the last 2 to 3 years. eShopWorld provides cross-border direct-to-consumer e-commerce services, for those that don't know, some of the world's leading retailers, with access to shoppers in over 200 countries. So the unique selling point of what we provide here at eShopWorld is that our solution really takes the complexity out of global e-commerce. It allows us to really switch on markets for retailers, in a fraction of the time that a retailer would be able to do it themselves. So, I think from a mission standpoint, we really is to build upon and continue to empower the world's best loved retailers and brands to make global shopping really, I suppose, better, safer, simpler, faster, really from end to end.
Another question, what are some of the security challenges faced by eShopWorld in the current market?
I think over the last 5 years, we've really put a lot of effort into implementing an ISMS and really establishing a good security baseline, which has really helped us scale security as our business has scaled. I don't really like to see it as challenges, but I like to see it as really focus areas. And I think what's noticeably is is staffing concerns, skill shortages, and not just from a security perspective, but I think from a from a pure engineering skills perspective as well. We're looking at how we look to solve that. Do we go near shore? Do we go far shore to to different contracting service houses? I suppose that in itself creates inherent risk, and how do we manage that inherent risk from a a company? I think that what that also leads into is then supply chain risks, and an area where I think we need to focus on, setting up due diligence practices to actually onboard, new vendors ensures that we're actually dealing with less risky partners. Our retailers ensure that, they don't want to deal with a risky supply chain, and we need to ensure that we're on that as well. And we are, too, don't want to actually be dealing with risky vendors from that perspective. Another area, I suppose, is also from a software supply chain attacks, making sure that we continuously monitor, update the latest software components. I suppose having a vulnerability management program in place helps us to achieve reducing that risk in that space. I think as a security leader, I think there's always that concern about any blind spots, where are blind spots and vulnerabilities lurking around in your organization. But one thing's for sure, we can't really rest on our laurels.
So how have you helped the organization balance the risk with business agility to stay competitive? Any ideas on that?
I think I suppose the most notably, when we looked at, I think immediately comes to mind is automation. Right, manual processes cannot address today's business challenges. In order to be agile, competitive, and secure all at the same time, you need to be able to look at some automation and what are you adopting in that space. I think a few years back we started looking at various areas of the business and where we can automate, and we stood up a team to actually focus on this. We saw it as a journey for automation rather than just a destination. Converting manual processes to automated tasks by leveraging certain technologies not only immediately became more efficient in that space, but actually allowed us to drive down costs. But I suppose also to a more extent is as you automate, you also lessen the risk that's introduced when manual processes are in place. So we've done some really good work in the space, but we still have a long way to go when it comes to automation. I suppose another area, that we've looked at is, where we've helped the business is, most of our, we are product and tech, organization. I think 70% of our business is driven by that, so there's no surprise when we say that we really need to be adopting, an efficient and secure software development lifecycle. So I think in this area, from a development point of view, we need to remain agile. We be able to respond to the growing requirements of our customers. So obviously, this was when inherent risk could be introduced. And I think having a structured agile framework in place, like SAFe, the scaled agile, allows us to really embed what we term non-functional requirements, NFRs, around security and privacy. So effectively, you're promoting your security by design and also privacy by design approach to an software development. And I think that's been key for us when we've gone and stood up a good, sound software development lifecycle. Another area where we looked at enhancing was leveraging reusable and reliable components. Cloud infrastructure is really designed around the concept of reusable components, and I think that helps you to speed up development and deployment for new services. And I think the more you reuse trusted components, you can eventually nurture some trust in systems, data, and designs. That really allows you to minimize your risk as well as being able to respond and being agile. And I think another area where, obviously working with Logical is, I think you need to look for trusted partners. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think in today's age, you need to be balancing risk with business agility. You must look to leverage partners, to help you achieve your mission. I mean, I think you'll know, we receive and generate north of about, I think, 170 million events a month. And there's no way that our internal security team will be able to review that amount of data without using partners, leveraging threat intelligence, machine learning tools to actually help identify potential threats, especially if you're trying to scale your business.
Yeah. I think a key of what you're saying is the automation, and we even see in the products we develop is automation is key, not just for that agility, but just to be able to, even resource and staffing constraints. It helps with that, and it's that 24/7 thing, and and having that partnership, it's like it's not just having those extra people, but it's having that extra perspective. Sometimes being in a certain industry, you have a certain perspective. Having a partner just gives a different perspective as well, which is really good. I think you partly answered the next question, is about the advice you can give to CIOs and CISOs on their digital first strategy, or their journey. I guess my question is, eShopWorld has been doing this all along, but there are companies that haven't even started. It's a big scary thing moving to the cloud and being digital. Where would you start? From your perspective.
I think having walked that walk already and understanding where we've come from a business to, and providing some of that advice, I think first and foremost is really to establish a strategy around how moving to the cloud. Does that cloud move strategy actually align with your overall enterprise's strategy? Is it full cloud adoption, hybrid adoption? Whatever needs there are, it needs to be really purpose built. Because without a plan, you could lead to misuse of, or rather misallocation of resources before you know it, and it could lead to massive unbudgeted costs. If you're in a company, say, oh, let's move this application to the cloud, and then let's move this application to the cloud, without actually understanding your ecosystem, you could be moving one application to the cloud, which is actually reliant on data feeding from another application, and you could really all of a sudden, be world of pain that having downtime in certain applications. So I think that's important. Part of that strategy is inventory. Understand that infrastructure, your applications, get that clear understanding of what interdependencies. Shadow IT is real, and business units, I for one know, that would easily look at and say, oh, I need to adopt this new service, and we'll spin it up, we'll sign up to a SaaS service, and all of a sudden they're ingesting data, or data is going out of the company, and as a CIO or with IT, they don't really know about that. And I think it's important to understand what that landscape looks like, effectively carrying out business impact analysis across your various business units to really use the outputs of that to, feed into an inventory system and to put that strategy, a holistic strategy together. And I think, having a clear strategy is key. Another thing that comes to mind is, I say governance. When I talk about governance, what is your data governance? What are your rules around, I suppose, sensitive data, data in general? What is how do you classify that? Are handling procedures the same as your on-prem? How would you manage the data on-prem versus in the cloud? So it's important to, understand those rules. Again, around governance around commercial and procurement add-ons. I think in the cloud, it's easy if you want to obviously empower the developers to build and have a safe environment to spin up resources. But without a proper governance in place to procure those resources in the cloud, you can easily, again, it's the quickest way to actually run up costs with that's really unbudgeted. I think also importantly, which is part and parcel why we talk about security, cloud security governance. Are you extending your ISMS that's historically local on-prem to the cloud? Are you aligning to controls to a cloud security framework? Are you enforcing technical policies so engineers can develop in that safe space and to not advertently introduce vulnerabilities? So I think having security policies that are cloud aware will ensure that you increase your security posture, not just from on-prem, but as you move into the cloud. And I think it's also important to understand and clearly articulate roles and responsibilities between yourself and the cloud provider, particularly if you need to consider what your deployment types are. Are you deploying as an infrastructure as a service? Are you taking on platform as a services or full outsource of SaaS? Whichever route you choose, it's important to have and understand where those roles and responsibilities lie. Now, who's responsible for security? Who's responsible for patching? And I think that's extremely key. There's some standards that actually, I think the PCI standards one that actually, it looks for documentation where you clearly align those, to conform to that standard. Now, I suppose those points isn't an exhaustive list, but they're really some key points to consider when you look at, I suppose, from a cloud first perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next for eShopWorld?
I mentioned earlier about, we spoke about, ESW's mission, but I think it's important to mention that, we want to achieve our goals, but we also want to be doing it in a sustainable manner, and to continue promoting sustainability. Sustainability is very topical at the moment. It's become a key theme for global shoppers, as they really are seeking out brands that are committed to real, change in this area. I think it's important to note that we at ESW are also very committed to working towards sustainable development goals to promote real change in the industry.
Cool, great. So I would like to thank Ray for his time here today. It has been a great discussion, and if anyone would like some more information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Now I would like to hand over back to Bob for the session on digital first sustainability. Bob, over to you.